Today we're going to be looking at the space function in T-SQL, and the space function is an alternative to actually concatenating with spaces. For instance, one of the things that we can do in T-SQL if we have, let's say, a first name and a last name is we can do plus, and we can do apostrophe space apostrophe plus and then last name. That is an option. The other option, of course, is we could do plus and then space, specify one, and then we could do plus and then the last name, first name, what is it, plus space one, and then last name. And as we see, that right here is what this looks like, space one. Good question that I get asked is when would normally space be used? And a lot of times it's in more dynamic situations where you might need a case when, where you might need more spaces for certain situations. It's true that you can always concatenate with with the apostrophes, so you don't have to worry about doing it with like one or two sometimes, but it is something that allows for more dynamic situations. It's a little bit easier to read, so that's when sometimes it's used. So as we see, we're selecting 1, 2, 3. We're using this stuff function, so we're adding a to our stuff function, and that's because the length is 0. The difference is we're adding a plus a space. So we'll notice something here as well with the space function is that we're using it within a function. So that's something to just keep in mind. We can use space within a function. So we're adding a space, in this case it's one space, and we see I'm unioning all so we can see the spaces out, right? So we can see, like, if we needed to tab something in or we need to tab something over, that would be something where we can use 5 spaces. And then, of course, we also can see it being used in this function here, which is the replace function. So we have the quick brown fox jump over the lazy dogs. We see quick brown is together. So we need a space between quick and brown. So we, of course, replace quick brown with quick, space 1, brown, and then corrected. The other thing that I wanted to show on this was that we can write our functions. Some people consider this more readable. Depends, especially when it's really long and it's long drawn out. But we can write our functions like this if that's more readable in some situations. And so this is a space function. Again, an alternative for using the space function is very straightforward. It's kind of like you see this concatenation here. We could easily concatenate and just have an actual space using these apostrophes. So we don't actually have to use this function. However, it can be pretty handy in dynamic situations.